All right. We should be live. Hello.
Hello,
Welcome
hello.
to episode 135
Wow.
of this series. Yeah, it's been a while, and which means I've run out of intros. So I guess we'll jump right in. I feel like I
Mhm.
say the same thing every time we start, other
After
than the number
135
being,
episodes,
yeah,
you must.
other than the number being one larger than last time. Well, anyway, how about we have you introduce yourself here?
Yeah, hello. My name is LUMILAURA. I speedrun Spyro. I've been doing it for about 5 years now. I am a full-time Twitch partner, and frankly, there's not much else about me. I'll
That's
admit, I do
fine.
what I do. I do it well, and I'm gonna keep doing it.
That's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can hop right into the bulk of the episode here with how you got started 5 years ago.
Yeah. Shall I just riff it off, or?
Do it however you want.
Yeah, so pretty much. I've been adjacent in the Spyro community for a long, long, long time. At least about 7 years now. And I happened to stumble upon a little sub community of the Spyro speedrunning community called International Spyro Grand Prix, which is basically like a small collection of YouTubers, like casual Spyro fans. Basically, they do very interesting races of Spyro, and it's just like this whole tournament setting, and they're all about like the production, and it's very wrestling inspired. It's this little niche little sub community that I adore very much. Not to downplay them, but it caught my eye, and being a casual fan of the Spyro games, I decided, hey, I'll hop into one of these, and I proceeded to promptly get absolutely smoked, which was an eye opener because I thought I was good at the game, and then I wasn't. So I decided in that moment that I would actually take the time to learn the route, the tech, the movement, and honestly, from that moment on, it just became like an addiction, really. Like Spyro is such an addicting game to run that I just kept going, and I chose Spyro 190% on that day, literally just because it seemed approachable. And I ended up developing such a passion for it that I don't see myself stopping running this category for at least another 10 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Plenty of content then to milk out of it.
Hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. So, were you, did you say you were familiar with any speedrunning prior to that or
To a degree, I was, yes. A childhood friend of mine is, not to name names, he would rather stay anonymous in this regard, but a childhood friend of mine is a very prominent Doom speedrunner with a lot of accomplishments under his belt,
hmm,
who I was first exposed to the concept of speedrunning through him. We'd be
mhm.
hanging out at school and he'd get his laptop out and literally just start doing Doom ILs in front of me, which was my first exposure to the concept. I never really watched anything out of like in terms of like marathons. Like I never really got into GDQ or ESA or any of the marathons. I knew of them. I knew they existed. Like I knew the concept of speedrunning existed, but it took until me doing it myself to start engaging with that side of speedrunning, I suppose.
I see. So, started and ended with Spyro.
Pretty
Well,
much.
not ending, but you know what I mean. Um, did you start partially because of COVID then?
Actually, no. I was a key worker during COVID, so
Oh,
very
really?
little changed for me during COVID. Yeah, I was still going to work, still doing my thing. The only thing that changed for me is that I got more stressed
Ah,
because my
fair.
work amped up a lot, which I guess to a degree, learning to speedrun was a nice escape from that.
Hmm. Okay. Because yeah, I've heard a lot of people when they say like 5 years from now, it's like, oh, must have been COVID.
Yeah, yeah,
So
not quite for me.
that's pretty interesting. So I actually don't know much about Spyro speedrunning or
Mhm,
Spyro. I'll be real. Never played it. Because
mhm,
I never grew up with PlayStation. I have a PS1 now though, so it will happen
yeah,
eventually, but
mhm,
it hasn't yet. So I've heard many cool things about the run. but I don't think I've ever had a like prominent Spyro runner on here yet. So you could
Oh well, you know,
explain
I
how
guess.
it works to me.
Yeah, so it depends on which game in the trilogy that you're playing. I'm mostly going to be talking about Spyro 1 since that is my main game, though I do speedrun the other two as well. Effectively, in Spyro 1, there is very little in the ways of major sequence breaks. So we can't skip the intended requirements to progress through the game. You just have to get them. As a result, you can do like minor skips. I will dabble on those later, but effectively there are 6 hub worlds, and to progress from one to the next you have to get certain requirements for the balloonist at the end, who moves you from one homeworld to the next. So for the first homeworld you would need to get 10 dragons, the second one you would need to get 1200 gems, the third one you would need to get 5 dragon eggs, etc, etc, etc. So the entire run effectively consists of this like very specific, very refined route that has been chipped away at over the course of 15 years, and your movement. There are a few things in the way of like major tricks that just help you get those gems and dragons faster in a more efficient manner, but there's nothing that actually lets you fully sequence break apart from one thing in the last hub world, which we can touch on a little bit later.
Okay. So you're obviously just hitting the minimum requirements in order to progress.
Yeah, very often runs will go into the last hub world as a low percent run.
Ah. Hmm.
Like you will have exactly flat the exact requirements you need.
So is there any actual difference between the two then?
Not really. No.
Hmm.
I mean, I suppose if you want to consider extra lives as collectibles, you would go out of your way to avoid those, but we don't even get any of those in the 80% route anyway, so it's, it's easily done there too.
Hmm. That's interesting. I don't know if I've
Mm-hmm.
really heard of that before.
Yeah.
I'm
I
guessing
just,
obviously there's no like low percent board or anything then.
no. As
Yeah,
far as,
okay.
well, there might be a category extension, but I doubt it's populated.
Yeah, if it's like the same thing, I don't
Yeah.
see why they'd be a
I
reason for it.
suppose what you would have to do in a Spyro low percent run is that you would need to once you get into the sixth and final hub worlds, you would need to then avoid every single gem like the plague,
Ah, I
since you
see.
can collect gems in that hub world that you wouldn't need.
Okay. I guess that may or may not be interesting. I'm not sure.
It could be.
I certainly wouldn't know. But yeah, so that's the route. And has you said the route's been kind of the same for a long time?
Yeah, pretty much. The most recent major advent to the route has just been that one level has been removed, and before that happened this year. Before that route change, the route has effectively stayed near enough the same, apart from some minor removals, some adjustments, a couple new tricks being found, etc. Near enough the same since about 2011.
Wow. So,
And for such a wide open game that prides itself on being this explorative, go wherever you like, pick up whatever you like kind of game, the fact that it has stayed this optimized and this consistent from so long ago, even into today, is quite a testament to how optimized the game is.
mhm. So majority of the time saves are just execution
Oh yeah,
over the course. Yeah.
100%.
Wow. But there have been a couple things, I
There have
guess.
been a few things, yes.
Well, is it time to talk about them or
I suppose it is, yeah.
Mhm.
So this does lead me into the 6 hub worlds, which I was referring to earlier. We'll call it Nasty's World from now on, since that is what it is called.
Mm.
But basically, the intended progression to get through Nasty's World involves you freeing the dragon that's directly in the center of it, just so he gives you a little bit of exposition. And then there are 2 levels in sequence that you're supposed to go through. There's one on the left called Naught Cove, which you're supposed to get all the way through to the end of. You have to go through the exit vortex, which is the only time in the game it's required of you. Um, and then upon doing that, the next portal will open up leading into Twilight Harbor, of which you do the same thing. You go through the exit vortex. And then the third one opens up, which is the final boss, which is Nasty Nog. And so as a result, speedrunners discovered quite early on, as early as 2013, that the collision surrounding the final boss portal is hollow on top, because for a whole myriad of reasons that I'm not going to get into because I'm a gigantic nerd about it. But basically, it was discovered that if you could get enough height or finagle your way up on top of that in any way, you could clip into it very easily and skip the requirements of going through any of the levels. Now, the problem with that is, for the longest time, there was no conceivable way of doing this easily at all. So runners typically opted for just going through all the levels, doing their thing. And then in 2013, it was discovered that if you went through North Cove, you went through the first level, and then you position yourself properly on the portal of the second level, you could do a very, very, very precise jump in order to just barely clip yourself into the portal for the final boss, skipping one entire level, which was massive. That was a genuinely tremendous breakthrough for the game way back in the day. This all predates me. This is all like 7 years before I started running, but I know my history on this kind of thing. The problem with it is that it was obscenely precise, and so it ended up becoming this divide of runners who didn't want to do that, didn't want to throw all of their runs to this trick right at the end to save about 55 seconds, I think. And the runners who were insane enough to do it and then ended up hitting it first try and then having these like nigh on impossible splits to run against. This was a big point of contention, if my memory and understanding serves me well, which pretty much cast Spyro 1 Any% into kind of like a bad category status for a long time. I remember when I joined this community, that was the only trick that was viable at the time. Nothing had changed between 2013 to 2020. And people just did not run the category. Everyone ran 120 instead. 120%, not star. That's, Any% was like this ignored, like bastard child of a category because of it. And so as a result, a lot more R&D was needed, a lot more research and development. And it was around 2021 that two key things happened, right? There were, let me take you back to 2013 again. There were two tricks discovered at that time, actually. I left a key important piece of information out. There was the jump from the second portal into the final boss. We're going to call that Twilight Harbor skip, which is what it is called. And then at the same time, there was discovered a little trick known as rat proxy, which immediately was written off by the wider community as completely unviable because the way it was described and shown off is the way it was initially performed and shown and uploaded on YouTube all the way back in 2013 is a completely backwards way of doing it that admittedly, hindsight is 2020. It's terrible. But I get it. It was the only way it could be done. But effectively, that skip let you skip the first level as well. So you land straight in the hub world. You don't have to free the dragon. You don't have to go into the first level. You don't have to go into the second level. You just drop in, you get the proxy, you go straight into the final boss. That saves somewhere in the ballpark of 1:30, which would be astronomical right at the end game, naturally. And so as a result, now back to 2021, it took a particularly few insane runners to start doing rat proxy in their runs. Famously, Deoman gets a lot of credit for this, for being the first one to hit rat proxy in an Any% run. Credit where it is due. He was the first to do it in an Any% run, but he wasn't the first to do it in a run, period. That honor goes to Hopkid, who was the first person to start doing rat proxy in cheat percent runs, which just consists of starting the game, putting in the all levels cheat, going straight to the 6th hub world, and then doing whatever you can in there to get through the game as fast as possible. So he would literally sit there, throw himself at this rat day in, day out until it worked, and he was the first runner to successfully execute a personal best of Spyro the Dragon with rat proxy, which opened the floodgates. There was a slight adjustment made to the setup where you would jump and charge into it instead of charge jumping into it. Trust me, that doesn't sound like a big difference, but I promise it is. I promise the difference between that is astronomical. But that took the trick. And these numbers, the first number is not precise, the second number is. That took the trick from about 0.00001% viable to, and this was scientifically proven by myself, to being approximately 2.5% consistent. And now I will get to that. Also in 2021, I was the second person to ever hit Rat Proxy in an any percent run. And this was way before I was anywhere close to the top level. Deoman had already gotten himself a 38, which was a record at the time. You know, he was hovering around it. He was about 10 seconds off record when he was starting to hit Rat Proxy for the very first time. And I was several minutes all the way back. Like in my first 6 months or so of speedrunning, I had like a 42. And I had a run that was dead. And I was like, okay, I know how to do this because, you know, I'm fascinated by it and I've practiced it in my free time. I went for it. I hit it. And little claim to fame, like little claim to fame. I was second person to hit Rat Proxy in a run. And so my point is that that is the way it stayed for a very, very, very long time until 2023. Basically, a whole bunch of other runners, they ended up getting decent at Rat Proxy as well. It ended up being 2.5% consistent. Sorry, that's where I went onto a tangent before I should have. I did 2,000 Rat Proxy attempts for hitting 2,000 followers on Twitch. And of those 2,000 attempts, I hit roughly 47, which pretty accurately represented the chances of hitting that at the end of a run. So the requirements at this point were to execute this mechanically optimized, like route optimized, this absolutely like insane run, and then chance it to a 2% trick right at the end. It had taken Spyro 190% from this category that everyone hated because of Twilight Harbor skip, and then there was this little golden period in the middle where, oh man, I glossed over Tooth Roll. There's so much history here. I'm so sorry. There was another trick that replaced Twilight Harbor skip called Tooth Roll, which basically does the exact same thing, but it took the consistency from maybe about 1 in 100 to 50-50, which was great. It was amazing. There was this little renaissance period of people doing any percent runs and just being able to finish them out all the time. Because you would just do Tooth Roll. Like maybe it would take 3 or 4 tries if you were unlucky, but people hit it. And people were PBing left and right. That's how I went from a 42 all the way down to like a 38 using Tooth Roll. But then Rat ended up starting to get really popular. And so it takes us into late 2022, early 2023. I'm starting to get incredibly optimized at this game. You know, my runs are starting to show a lot of potential. Deoman has moved back onto 120%, which is his main category. And so it's just me, my self-improvement, and the Rat, which I knew I needed to tackle in order to have a shot at world record. So I did. So I just ended up being the runner to end up like throwing all of my paces to this Rat. You know, like I would get better and better and better and better and better, but my PB would not reflect it because the Rat would just not play ball. But I did it enough, and we got to early 2023, and it was March 13th, if I'm not mistaken, some point in March, I got my first world record in Spyro the Dragon by also setting the best pace ever done in history, plus whatever try Rat it was. I think it was like 3rd try Rat, maybe 4th. The run, it was honestly the ideal situation. Like the run itself was something I was very, very, very proud of. And Rat Proxy just happened to do its thing. I just happened to get it eventually, and it was still recordable. Like it was amazing. I'm very, very proud of that run still. Okay. May I continue? Sorry, I know I've been yapping for a while.
I just have a lot of questions about this trick.
Yeah, go for it. Yes, by all means, go for it.
So this will be my own tangent, but is there RNG involved?
Oh yes.
Okay.
100%.
So
all RNG.
Got it. And what is it? Like what is the RNG factor?
So pretty much the Rat in question is just a little fodder enemy that runs around. It's designed to be there to give you health. Like Spyro flames it, a butterfly comes out, you get a point of health.
Okay.
But pretty much what we do is that you need to line up behind it and jump and charge on top of it as it walks into a specific corner. And then Spyro will get stuck between the rat and the corner and ejected upwards, where he can then land and glide into the Nasty Nord portal. The rat's movement is pretty much 100% RNG. There is very, very, very little in the ways of manipulation in order to influence it where you want it to go.
Okay.
It is possible to do it to a degree, but not really. You can't rely on it.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
And then so it sounds like something, if you fail, you can try again. If you said in your record you got it like third try, how much time do you lose per failed attempt?
I think about 8 seconds if you death abuse quickly. You do need to throw yourself off a cliff to get it to respawn.
Okay, so after like 4 or 5 tries, then it becomes like obsolete. Then over
pretty
the normal
much,
way.
yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So it was still save.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no. If I'd gone for tooth roll on that run, I would not have gotten record.
Okay. I think I'm caught up now, so you can continue.
Yeah, you're all good. So, yeah, world record. So, we're still in early 2023, coming into mid 2023 here. I ended up setting a few more records. I got into a little battle with another runner named Ash, who, we traded record back and forth a bit. We were both trying to bop Deo at the time, and, we had this little downward battle as we kept trading PBs. And I ended up kind of blowing her out the water a little bit because it went 37.55 by me, 37.46 by her, 37.45 by me, 37.44 by her, and then I absolutely clapped with a 37.27, which was beyond what was considered the human limit just a few months prior than that. That run was incredible, and it stood for a very, very long time. It is still by far one of my proudest personal bests. I think it might be my favorite personal best, to be honest. It was groundbreaking at the time.
Did it have first try rat proxy?
It did, yes. Wow. It was an incredible run with a first try rat. Yeah. But that's where things sat for a good while. Until late 2023. And here's the big kicker. Here's where things kind of went into overdrive for any percent. It took me waking up, going into my Discord, and seeing a member of my community had posted a video, or like shared a video that someone had posted about an alternate method to rat proxy that had already been posted 6 months prior. Okay, this version of rat proxy had existed for a long time and had been seen by people at this point. But again, in classic Spyro 190% fashion, immediately written off as unviable for whatever reason. So I just decide on a whim, okay, I'm going to mess with it. I'm going to look at this clip. I'm just going to hop on stream, do my thing before runs and see how it goes. Would you believe it? It took rat proxy from 2.5% to 33%. Wow. It was groundbreaking. And so this new version of the rat, dubbed Long Back Rat, which I promise has a historical connotation behind that as well. But this new version of rat immediately blew the floodgates open. Now, all of a sudden, a third of runs that make it into the hub world will, not to mention, it saved 5 seconds on top of the previous rat proxy method as well. So not only was this more consistent, it was also a short time save as well.
Wow. So
all of a sudden, it was an absolute gold rush. It was me, Ash. It was just me and Ash, actually, at the time. Yeah, Deo was still doing 120. But, yeah, no, we jumped straight back on the horse, and I ended up getting a 37.26, a 37.24. Ash ended up tying me with a 24. And then I ended up getting a 37.19, which stood as record for quite a while until mid-2024. And mid-2024, mid-24 in general, was an absolute slump year for me, I'll admit. I did not PB a single time all year, and that was not through lack of trying. I had pretty much the worst year of speedrunning I've had in my life so far. And despite all of my efforts, I got bopped. and bopped and bopped and bopped. I lost my record. I lost second. I lost third. And I sat in fourth for a while. Until this year. Of which, at this point, there's been a couple new route advents. There's been, a few changes, a few new tricks and stuff. Nothing major, I would say maybe about 15 seconds had been taken off of the route total. But yeah, it took until this year, about mid this year, for me to get another personal best, take off another 10 seconds from 19 to 09. And then about a month after that, I took off 4 more seconds to 37.05. And that's where I'm sat, actually, now. Despite the fact I am putting out pace after pace after pace, I seem to have a real rat problem lately. It used to be 33%, and I still stand by that number, but it's not proving itself to be 33% lately, I'll tell you that much.
Guess we'll have to do another 2,000 to see for sure.
Yeah, maybe I should. But yeah, that's pretty much where we stand. I did gloss over a few things, such as the reroute that I created in 2022, which pretty much enabled all of the records that we set to be set. But there was nothing major about that. I just did a couple things, changed things up, made the route a lot easier with a tighter margin of gems to collect. Ended up saving about 20 seconds, I want to say. Somewhere in that ballpark. But yeah, that is pretty much where we stand now. Sorry, I've just gone on this absolute gargantuan history lesson.
That's what we're here for. That's what I'm used to hearing. So,
Mm-hmm.
what's records stood at right now?
Record now is far beyond my wildest dreams. It is a 36.28 by Composer.
Jesus.
Which is, yeah, I made a video in late 2023 when I got back on the grind, saying along the lines of like, I'm gonna keep going, I'm gonna keep PVing and stuff, and I teased the concept of a 36 as if it was this like mystical like final minute barrier, like requires the god run to get. No, modern Spyro on any percent is, I feel left in the dirt by what these two runners are doing. Honestly, Deoman and Composer, they are ridiculous. They are so good at this game now. And I'm playing catch up, I'll admit. I am sat here playing catch up. I'm getting there. I'm very much getting there. I've had a few paces. I've been on 36 4x pace going into the end game now. But still waiting for all the pieces to come together before I can officially say I'm back up to their level.
Yeah. So do you know like how many attempts you've done so far?
That part of my history is a bit spotty because I used to switch split files a lot, but my best approximation right now is about 13,000.
Wow.
However, that number has been heavily skewed. I can't believe I forgot to mention Nesta Skip. Oh my goodness. We have another thing to talk about. Basically, right as you start Spyro the Dragon, there is a dragon directly in front of you that the game is just screaming at you to get. It's right there. Why wouldn't you? And so you do. And you'll quickly find that that is the only dragon in the entire game whose cutscene you cannot skip by pressing X. It is the only dragon of its kind in the game. And so as a result, it was instantly agreed upon that if there was some way to get that dragon and skip its cutscene, it would save a nice chunk of time because we'd be able to remove another dragon in the route that happens to be slower. And for the longest time, that didn't exist. Until, again, mid-2023, the same guy who found Long Back Rat also found Nesta Skip. And for a while, for a long, long while, again, it was, in classic Spyro fashion, immediately written off as unviable. Admittedly, I'll take a stake of the blame there. I was part of that crowd this time because it is quadruple frame perfect.
Oh.
You start up the game and you have to hit 4 back-to-back frame perfect inputs in rapid succession.
What's the frame rate
very
of
difficult.
Spyro?
It pulls for inputs at 60, but it displays 30 per second.
Okay, but so the frame perfects are 60?
I think they're 30.
Okay.
I'm confused on how it works, I'll admit.
Fair enough.
I think it is 30, despite the fact it pulls for inputs at 60.
Oh no, I have to do multiple 60 FPS frame perfect, so it sounds easy to me. No,
Thankfully, it is right at the start of the
that
run.
does help a
Also,
lot.
yeah,
But,
when the trick was found, those frames weren't known of yet. Like the
oh,
fact that you had to do those inputs specifically wasn't known about. It was like the trick was demonstrated to be possible by like freak accident, and it just ended up being people like throwing themselves at this trick, just like vaguely doing what the video did in order to figure out how to get it to work.
hmm,
And yeah, it only took until a couple months ago for us to very cleanly like get visual cues for every single frame. And there really isn't much in the ways of visual cues. You really only have one. You have to jump, flame, jump, charge, glide in that order. And four of those have to be frame perfect.
all
And the
right.
only visual cue you get is how far back Spyro's feet are on the second jump. That's all you get. And so as a result, I mean, it pretty much cleanly explains why people considered this non-viable. Point is, it ended up saving about 10 seconds in the any percent route, which very much artificially inflated my reset count
I
because
see.
going for a quadruple frame perfect thing right at the start, it's going to cause a lot of resets.
Hmm. Like, how quickly is it into the run?
Literally immediately. Yeah.
Oh,
First
it's like
frame
the
of being
first
actionable,
four inputs.
you pretty much,
I
yeah.
see. Okay. Yeah, that.
Like, I have a split for it dedicated, and my gold for Nesta Skip is 6.8 seconds.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty quick.
Mhm.
So, what exactly is happening?
So pretty much there is a soft lock prevention mechanism in the game where if Spyro is caught in the flop state for too long, where like if you glide into a wall or something and you obviously can't keep gliding into it, Spyro will start flopping. Like he'll start waving his arms around, he'll be screaming. And if you are stuck in that state for 4 seconds exactly, the game just respawns you. And so what you have to do is jump, flame, so that the flame makes contact with the statue and he does a little rumbling animation. And then you jump, you charge, and you glide to get Spyro into that flop state. And you need to land Spyro on a very specific part of the hitbox, like unit perfect part of the hitbox, so that then Spyro starts sliding down it slowly, slowly, slowly. And by the time he enters the activation range for the cutscene, you get respawned, and
Okay.
it is usually by a margin of like 2 frames.
Wow.
And then by the time you respawn, you have the dragon, you've skipped the animation, you get to move on.
And that's all for what, 10 seconds?
Yep.
Wow. I love speedrunning.
Oh, don't we just?
Well, I mean, the 5 frame perfect 60 FPS thing I'm talking about saves zero point 0.3 seconds. So,
Wow.
isn't speedrunning great?
It is great.
It's lovely. All right. So, is there any other like skips or tech that's worth going in detail in?
Um, hmm. Nothing major that like particularly shook up the any percent run in particular, but
It can just be
there
like in
are.
general, like what makes the run fun.
Yeah, I guess I can go over like yeah, like the core movement tech of Spyro is
Mhm.
something that I will always pride the game on. So pretty much Spyro can walk, he can jump, he can glide, he can charge, and he can flame, right? The magic happens when you combine these actions very quickly. For example, we never ever ever just glide in this game, ever. It is always optimal to do a charge glide, of which you hit square to charge and then hit X to glide with a gap of maybe like 1 to 2 frames in between. Ideally, frame perfect.
Mm.
But yeah. So every single glide in the game is like a little roll from square to X like this.
Kind of
And
like
then
Mario 64 rollouts. Hmm.
yeah, very akin to that. And then you have flame charging, of which whilst you are charging, you will let go of square, hit circle, and re-hit square in order to throw a flame out
Mm.
as you are charging. And what this accomplishes is that basically you can, whenever you charge through an enemy or a chest in the game, the gem homes in on you automatically. And what you can trick the game into doing is flame charge it to flame it from a distance, and then by the time the flame connects with whatever you want the gem out of, you are back in the charging state, and it tricks the game into throwing the gem at you as if you charged it. So you can do it from a greater distance. You can grab gems from enemies without stopping effectively, and take title lines in a bunch of places. A very, very core piece of movement tech that saves a lot of time in pretty much every single part of the run, without question. It is something that is required to be mastered if you want to be competitive at this game. And basically every enemy in the entire game has different flame charge ranges as well, so it's all stuff you need to learn in their unique respective positions as well.
Wow. Sounds
That's
like
it
a
for flame
lot in a
charging.
short time.
Oh yeah. I suppose there's one other thing. Dragon angles. Basically, when you collect a dragon in the game, Spyro does a little walking animation to get to his part in the cutscene, which means you need to free all the dragons in very specific locations so that Spyro takes no extra frames to get to his spot in the animation. So if you watch a Spyro run, you'll notice that when approaching a dragon, runners will often like go out of their way to go to the other side of the dragon to start the cutscene there, which ends up being faster across the course of the run.
Interesting. So, you went over your any percent full history and all the stuff that led up to that. So, I guess we talk about maybe other categories.
Yeah, so I'll admit I don't dabble too much in the other two main categories for Spyro 1. There is 120% and there is Vortex. 120% I have a decent time in. I'm pretty sure I'm 20th. Yeah, I'm top 20 for 120%. It's fine. I could definitely improve my PB by a wide margin. I'm sure I could be top 10 in that category if I actually knuckled down and grinded it, but I don't care to. I'll admit, I am like I am the any percent enjoyer, I guess. But yeah, that's it for 120. And then there's Vortex, which is a pretty unique category in the way, because you actually start that category by putting in the all levels cheat in order to unlock all the homeworlds. And what you do in that one is it's just going into a level and then getting from the start to the end vortex as fast as possible. That's all it is. And so pretty much what that category seeks to establish is itself as like the equivalent to like a trick based category in other Spyro games. For example, 2 and 3, they work very similarly in their any percent runs. Like you have to get from the start of the level to the end of the level in order to get like a MacGuffin off of an NPC or something, which helps you progress. Spyro 1 doesn't have that, so we had to make it up. And it's a very, very, very optimized category with a lot of community history, actually. Like, world record in Vortex right now is 19 minutes, 50 seconds. It is ridiculously optimized. It is by far one of the most optimized trick-based categories I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
And for something that requires a cheat code at the start.
Is entering the cheat code part of the run? Like
It
timing?
is, yes. If you fail the code, it's typically a reset for top-level runners.
It's interesting. So, is it kind of like if you were to do like an IL of a level, start to end? It's just like combining all of those as one full run, kind of.
Yep, pretty much.
I see. Do you have ILs as well?
We do, actually. It's a very recent thing that's popped up. We have ILs for all three. We have ILs for any percent, 120%, and Vortex. 120% and Vortex are pretty self-explanatory. It's quite literal. You just do what the category requires. Like, you get all the things or you go to the Vortex. For any percent, we kind of had to make it up a bit. We just took the optimal run-throughs of the levels that we do in any percent, we take the amount that you would normally get, the dragons you would normally get, the eggs you would normally get, and just be like, all right, get those as fast as possible. Like, that's the only requirement. And so as a result, like if I look at the IL boards, sorry, I'm flashbang. If I look at the IL boards, verbatim it says Dry Canyon, 3 dragons, 197 gems, or Ice Cavern, 5 dragons, 206 gems. And then you've got like a column for gems per second, which is a very important metric, stuff like that. You know, it appears arbitrary, but it makes sense in the context of the runs themselves.
I see. Okay. So, I guess that information's pretty useful then for helping with the full game, if it's like
Oh
keeping
yes,
track of all
yes.
that other extra
Yeah,
data.
absolutely. Gems per second is a very key metric for Spyro on any percent, because whenever you're labbing out a new like gem detour, like going out of your way to pick up some gems or cut some gems out, you need to pay attention to the gems per second that you're either implementing or removing. And reasonably, we've come to establish that the target for a detour, if you're ever going to implement a detour into the route, it needs to be about 4 gems per second.
And that's like the average for throughout the whole time.
Tell you what, I actually don't know what the average gems per second is across the whole
Okay.
run.
So not quite. Okay.
I never thought to look into that actually.
Fair. If it's not important, it's not important. I don't know
Yeah,
how
I
the game
guess.
works. But yeah, so are gem is it usually just like one at a time, but they're bunched up together, or you can get like 10 at once or something?
Yeah, so the way the gems work is that you have 5 different colors of them. You got red ones, which are worth 1, green ones, which are worth 2, blue ones, which are worth 5, yellow ones, which are worth 10, and pink ones, which are worth 25. And so as a result, like, you know, you just take that information, you try to go for as many blues and greens as you can, reds if they're directly in the way, never skip a pink. You know, like if you miss a yellow, go back for it kind of thing. You know,
Got it.
yeah.
And then it's all to just hit that minimum required total.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all just to get 6,000.
And are those just like arbitrary numbers the programmers put in?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah, they were just like, we needed numbers for the player to progress, make it up on the spot.
I
In
see.
fact, prototypes required you to get more. In
Mm,
the June 15th prototype of Spyro 1, you needed 7,000 gems to get to the last hub world.
okay. So that's where all the routing comes in. Is just
Yes.
got it. Okay. I mean, yeah, very interesting. Not like any game I've ever run personally. So
It's very unique.
yeah, and obviously very technical and
Oh, yeah.
skillful. And
Very high
luckily, it
APM
sounds like
game.
most of the RNG kind of has slowly gone down.
Yeah, thankfully, the only 2 major key instances of our 3 with an asterisk are Rat Proxy right at the end. There is still a degree of RNG with Longback Rat. You know, his initial position is the kicker in that instance.
Mhm.
And then the level Misty Bog, of which enemies will find themselves in various different patterns dictated by RNG, which can either make or break a run. Absolutely, it can catastrophically mess up your gem count if they are in the wrong
Mm.
positions. And then the third instance of RNG, you would think plays a bigger role than it does, but it really doesn't. Whenever a gem pops out of anything in the game, be it a chest, an enemy, or anything, it offsets itself a tiny little bit
Ah,
by RNG. So it can fly off a little bit to the left, it can fly off a little bit to the right. It
like
really
Mario
doesn't matter
64
that much.
coins, just not
Yes,
as catastrophic.
nowhere near as egregious. Yeah, no, those coins go all over the
Oh,
place. How do they do it?
mm, it's wild.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm understanding a little better now, despite my very limited knowledge. Again, someday I'll play the game. I have to. It's Spyro.
I recommend it.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful game to just sit down with like a pizza or something and just get lost in. Like I will always praise Spyro the Dragon as a casual game first before I will as a speed game. Even though I consider it to be an absolute masterclass of a speed game, it is even more so of a casual game and just a wonderful collectathon that stays consistent all the way throughout. There's like very little in the ways of gimmicks. There's very little in the ways of pace breakers. You know, there's no like mini games or anything. There's no NPCs to stop you and be like, "Hey, Spyro, do this thing for me." There's none of that. None of that in Spyro 1. It's just you, the environment, the wonderful like level design, You know, like the mental puzzles it makes you do to like you'll see a ledge with a dragon on it and you'll be like, huh, how do I get there? And the only way to get there is just to explore and find the passageway.
Hmm.
And I absolutely adore that. I adore that so much about Spyro the Dragon.
Yeah.
It's something that they tended to they dropped a little bit in Spyro 2 and 3. Not entirely, but not as happy with Spyro 2 and 3 as I could have been.
I see. Well, I've always recommended a casual playthrough of any game first before ever learning speed tech.
Oh
So,
yes.
um, well, I guess that's all of Spyro.
Yeah.
Spyro 1. In a nutshell, only took 45 minutes. Good speed run. Takes longer to explain the game than to run it.
It does, actually. It would appear that it does.
Fun fact. Well, I guess we can move on to any other games you've ran.
Yeah, so I'll admit, you know, it's pretty much just all been Spyro for me. I've dabbled in 2 and 3. You know, they are very different in the ways that in order to get through their 80% runs, you don't need to collect gems at all.
Mm.
It is, in Spyro 2's case, it's a 7-minute long run at record. So you go into the first hub world, you find an out of bounds, you get into the boss. You go into the second hub world, you find an out of bounds, you get into the boss. You get into the third hub world, you get a power up, you find an out of bounds, you get into the boss. That's all that is.
Okay.
I downplay it a lot. It is very difficult, incredibly difficult category, especially being down to 7 minutes. But oh, breath. And then you got Spyro 3, which isn't quite as broken. You do need to actually go into levels in that game. But you go into a level, you get to the end, they give you an egg. You go into the level, you get to the end, they give you an egg. You repeat that 5 times per hub world. There's 4 hub worlds. And as soon as you're in the 4th hub world, you pull off a big trick to get into the final boss because the loading trigger for the final boss is extended way out further than it should be. And you fight the final boss and you win. And that category is down to 23 minutes and 40 something seconds.
Wow.
But that's pretty much it. Those are like my main 3 speed games. Other than that, I only really dabble in other speed games. I have, off the top of my head, I have speedrun in air quotes. Sonic R, Sonic Heroes, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sly 1, Sly Cooper, Jack 1, so Jack and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, and more recently, this was the speed game that I ended up getting myself the most invested in out of all of those. It was actually SM64. I did 16 star for a bit. It took me about 3, maybe like 2.5 to 3 weeks to get a 20 in that category, I believe. But I don't think it actually is a 20 because I was mistiming. I was mistiming it. I managed to go all that way in learning 16 star without knowing that timing does not start on first movement. It starts when the console resets.
Yes.
Oh, right, of course. Undead brings up a fantastic point in chat. Crash Bandicoot. Oh my goodness, how does he escape me? I've ran all 3 of those games as well. I've done Crash 1 any percent, Crash 2 any percent, Crash 3 any percent. I've speedran in air quotes Crash 2 100%. I've only done that twice. I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And yes, of course, Crash Team Racing is a fantastic speed game. Highly recommend getting Hypnoshock for an interview if you ever get the time. What an interesting fella. But,
not my first time hearing him brought up here, so.
Yeah, no, amazing guy. Absolutely amazing guy. Fully recommend it. But yeah, Crash Team Racing was another speed game that I ended up getting quite into for a bit. Still kind of am. I would definitely go back to it if I felt the itch. I just don't right now. But yeah, I have like a 102 in that, which is a respectable time.
Okay, so it's not all Spyro.
No, not all. For the most part, yes.
Yeah.
But not all.
You always gotta have the one game where it's like every 80%.
Yeah.
And then
the comfortable and familiar.
Yeah. But for the other Spyro games, is the movement pretty similar?
To a degree. In Spyro 2, they definitely changed the movement engine a fair bit in order to make Spyro a bit heavier. Like there's a lot more inertia to him. Like in Spyro 1, if you're charging and you let go of square, he will just stop on a dime. Like he won't go much further. In Spyro 2, if you let go, he'll keep charging for like half a second and keep going. And that's, typically represents how heavier the movement is in those games. There is definitely still a lot of flow and grace and speed to it, but I much prefer Spyro 1. The best analogy I've ever heard comes from Composer, who's the current Spyro 1 90% world record holder, who also is a Melee player. He likened it to Spyro 1 being like Fox, if Spyro 2 and 3 were like Falco, if that makes any sense to you. I don't know how familiar
Not
you
at
are
all.
with Melee.
But
Not at all? Okay, fair enough.
not to
Fair
me,
enough.
but I'm not a melee head, but
Yeah,
I
fair
know
enough.
some people would understand that.
Mhm. Yeah. Slightly snappier, slightly heavier.
I see. And then so it sounds like the out of bounds are kind of unique to 2 and 3 then, or at least 2
Yeah,
especially
you can
apparently.
definitely do a lot of out of bounds in Spyro 1. In fact, there is one that is prominent in the any percent routes, but
Okay.
they don't really do anything for you in Spyro 1,
Mm,
unlike Spyro 2 and 3, in which in Spyro 2 and 3, there are a lot of level triggers hidden out of bounds underground in various places that you need to perform out of bounds skips to get to in the first place that are required for progression if you're going to do them fast.
I see.
Spyro 1's just not like that.
And that's because of the collectible requirements
Yeah,
was
pretty
okay.
much. Yeah,
So
there is no conceivable way in Spyro 1, and trust me, we've looked.
mhm.
There is no conceivable way to skip the balloonists. It's never going to happen, and I will eat my hat if it does.
Mm. No, it's a good hat. I'm sure it's safe. But so how did the out of bounds work in the I guess all the games have it, but like
Mhm.
mainly 2 and
Yep,
3, I
so
guess.
yeah, so pretty much it's like most 3D platformers at the time, really. There's a lot of geometry that doesn't have collision just because the devs wanted to optimize,
Mhm.
and you just perform various bits of movement to get there. The biggest one, I think, in Spyro 3, this comes up a lot more often than it does in 2. There is in Spyro 2, you got the ability to swim. Like Spyro cannot swim in 1, but he can in 2 and 3. And as a
Does he
result,
just
you can.
drown in one?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, you
Oh
just enter
no.
water. He just rounds. It's just damage.
All right.
But yeah, you can perform something called a swim in air, which is self-explanatory. Like
Mm.
the water plane is just a plane. So if you can get into the swim state and stay out of bounds, then you can swim wherever you like. And doing that, that is usually free access to all of the stuff hidden out of bounds. That's not the only way, but that is the predominant way to pull that off.
Got it. I've definitely seen that in other games,
Mhm.
so I get the gist. And then, so that's just the primary out of bounds. But
Yeah.
obviously, I know Spyro can glide for a little while, so
Mhm.
I assume that helps
Yeah.
sometimes.
The problem with that is usually finding a high enough vantage point to glide from to get out of
Hmm.
bounds. Again, that is actually something that pops up in Spyro 1. There is a spot in the level Alpine Ridge where the developers totally oversaw it that you would just be able to glide into this empty spot in the wall.
Mm,
But that's useful for a very like minor time save there.
I see. Are there like any death planes out of bounds that you have to navigate around, or?
Yes, but they are typically so low down that the run's dead anyway if you fall down there.
Oh, okay.
There's
So
nothing in
they're
the
not
ways of
intrusive.
like. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Actually, it's great that you brought that up. Actually, sorry, I caught myself. There are flop planes in Spyro 2 that are a nightmare to avoid sometimes.
Are those like
Instead
the
of it being a
collisions where you tumble in that spot?
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
pretty much yes. Instead of it being a death plane, it's just like the game's like, "Oop, you shouldn't be here," and then you get put into the flop state and your controls are locked, and you just have to fall to your death.
Mm. So it
Very
does do
annoying.
like the Spyro run where it respawns you like the soft lock prevention, or
No, actually, yeah,
wow.
no, they took that out for 2 and 3.
Interesting.
That is actually largely to do with the control differences, actually, because in Spyro 1, if you're in the flob state, you wiggle the analog stick, Spyro won't move at all. You
Mm,
can't make him. You would have to glide and then start wiggling Spyro with the glide. In 2 and 3, if you're in the flop state, you can just very gently move him around in
I
the
see.
air, which is usually enough to get you unstuck wherever you're stuck.
Hmm. It's an interesting change,
Mm.
which makes it very unuseful in the speedrunner
Yeah,
class.
yeah, exactly.
It's funny. Um, well, is there any other details to go over in those games, or
There are, but I feel like I'm not necessarily qualified to talk about them.
that's
I'll
fair?
admit.
Yeah, you can also speak
Yeah.
from just your perspective as well. Like,
Yeah. I just don't have the greatest perspective, you know. I've got a decent time in Spyro 390%. I can't remember exactly where I am, but where am I? Sorry, I'm looking now. I'm 21st for Spyro 390%, actually. That's not bad of a leaderboard of 112 people. You know, it's not terrible.
no,
Again,
I
that
was
is
just
a
about to
very
ask how many people run the games.
yeah, it's a very optimized world record Spyro 3 has as well, because the dominating runner of that game, Jeremy Thompson, is very talented at what he does. He has been dominating Spyro 3 any% since the dawn of time.
Yeah, so every Spyro game has a different like prominent record holder.
Yes, actually,
Hmm.
it's it used to be shared by a few people, but not anymore. Around, before I started running the game, you would typically see people like Chris LBC, SSBM stuff, aka Saboom, and Tuval at the top of these categories. And it took until around COVID time for people like Deo, me, Ash to be in like the top three for Spyro 1. And then you had Blunt Bows come into Spyro 2 and absolutely wreck that game. I'm fairly certain he still has the full sweep in Spyro
Hmm.
2, if I'm not mistaken. He might have lost. He did lose any percent, but he has every other category as well. Yeah, Blunt Bows had the full Spyro 2 sweep at a point. And then Spyro 3, there's a bit of a divide with Spyro 3 when it comes to the any percents and full completion, actually. Any percent and 100 egg, which is like any percent and any percent no major glitches respectively. Jeremy Thompson has those, but 117% is a very unique category because it is actually a record is 2 hours 47 minutes. It's a long game to hundo,
Wow,
and so it's pretty much just requires a completely different skill set that I guess Jeremy Thompson did not want to bother pursuing.
that's like double Spyro One's like hundo
Hmm.
equivalent, right? Wow.
Yeah, it is. It's very long, and yeah, like that's a good run too. It used to be longer. It used to be 2 minutes 51, 2 hours 51.
Yeah,
Sorry.
got it. Hmm. A lot of content there then.
Oh yeah. I just run 117% for fun. Just it takes up a whole stream. It's very casual. It's very chill. Yeah, it's very good to just like do when I'm having an off day or something.
Understandable. Um, well, with the other games you've run, is there anything worth going into more detail on in those?
Oh, yeah, no, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know anything about the other games that I run. I guess maybe I vaguely learned how to counter drift in Sonic R that one time. And I guess in Crash Team Racing, I'm freakishly good at a trick in the late game that even trips up top level runners.
Hmm,
But that's about it.
fair. Um, what made you like choose the other games? I guess.
Just personal affinities to them, really.
I
Sonic
see.
R in particular, is a childhood game. Same with Sonic Heroes and Sonic 3. All of the Crash games, they're childhood games as well.
Hmm.
But with the other ones like SM64, Jack, Sly, I got into those mostly just from like exposure from other runners. For example, I know you've had the Rixer
Hmm.
on the channel before. A good friend of mine, I learned a lot about PlayStation speedrunning through him and his stories, which, like, it got those games on the mind. And usually I play those games casually for the first time during a subathon.
Hmm.
And then if I like them, I'm like, okay, I want to run this at some point. And so I do. I've done like a couple runs of them each because of it.
That's
But
cool.
SM64 in particular, I literally just got into it just because of how big it is, I'll admit.
Yeah,
I just
that's
wanted
fair.
to see what the hubbub was
A rite of
about.
passage. Every speedrunner's got to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm reasonably well acquainted with some prominent SM64 people, like I'm good friends with GTM. You know, I'm
Ah,
like,
my GT brother.
I know he's not much of a speedrunner. I don't actually know his speedrunning history, but I'm friends with Simple Flips as well. You know, great guy. But yeah, I just wanted to see what it was about. Also because SM64 has like an amazing modding and like PC port scene, and I was jealous of that like a lot. Like I'm really jealous of what SM64 has. Like even you guys have like steel sticks and stuff. Like I know the stock like OEM N64 sticks are abysmal and you need steel sticks, but like
Mm,
damn. If DualShock 1s had a fraction of that support, I'd be so happy, you know. So I just wanted to see what it was all about, and I had a good time with it.
I see. Yeah, I know it's a mess. I've been to every PACE event, so I've gotten like Mario 64 acquainted pretty easily that way. But
I can imagine.
yeah, so I've dabbled in it a bit. The only game we'll
Oh,
probably have in common, but
yeah,
because I'm the Mario head, I guess, and
yeah.
knowledge of classic PlayStation is just not there yet. But
Fair enough.
someday, whenever I get that PSIO or whatever,
Mhm.
whenever that's back in stock, then I can play whatever the hell I want on that thing.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, not there yet. But it's interesting. A lot of Sonic, um,
Mhm.
and then actually a 2D game in there with Sonic 3.
Yeah. Yeah, Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Again, that's something I probably should have mentioned earlier. Spyro 1 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles are the two games where it's a complete toss up for them being the first game I ever played. I
Mm.
have very, very, very strong nostalgic attachments to both of them. And I did enjoy running Sonic 3 for a little while. It was really fun to learn, you know, stuff like like Sandopolis, like level wraps,
Mm-hmm.
like hydrosity stuff, you know. It was fun. But I ended up quickly realizing one, that 2D speed games aren't for me,
Mm.
and two, I kind of wanted to retain that nostalgic magic, you know, because I noticed with Spyro that I don't get it anymore when I play it. It's
Ah.
my day job. It's literally my day job.
Mm-hmm.
So I see Spyro 1 in this whole new light, and I do wish that I could go back to it being this like whimsical, nostalgic wonderland for me. So I decided to keep Sonic 3 in that same vein.
I see. Yeah, I am familiar with that game. It's so hard.
It is very hard.
I've never run
Joey
it, but
Baby
I've
makes it
had to
look
commentate
easy.
it, and it's like, well, if you thought that was cool,
Yeah.
here's this, and then here's this,
Here's
and then
another
here's
one.
this, and then here's this. These are all frame perfect, probably.
Yep. If
Great.
you are on the wrong subpixel, this doesn't work.
Yeah, wild game,
Hmm.
but so fascinating. And then yeah, I'm just again not personally familiar with a lot of the other PlayStation stuff, so I can't speak on that, but
Hmm.
I can on Sonic 3 and Knuckles. A little bit.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah,
64.
love that game.
So I guess that's all your game history in terms of
Pretty
speedrunning.
much.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, that's half truth. I, this is something that only hit me mid conversation that I probably should have mentioned all the way back at the start of the interview. Technically, Spyro 1 wasn't my first speed game.
Mm.
I got into doing Doom runs for a little bit
Ah,
just to, you know, join my friend in doing them
got it.
for like a week or so back in 2017. So this was years before I actually started to speedrun. It was just something I dabbled in. But technically that makes it my
It,
first
it
speed
didn't
game.
stick or anything, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. Well, I do like to go into like event history, so
Yeah.
can talk about that now.
That is something that I will pride myself on. I'll admit, you know, I have quite a good track record when it comes to marathon runs. I have always just taken Spyro to marathons naturally.
Mm-hmm.
But in order of marathons that I have appeared at, it goes. I'm from the UK, so I haven't been able to get to a GDQ yet. I make purple checkmark money. It's expensive. But yeah, no, in terms of events that I've managed to pull myself to, it's been, and do runs at, it's been European Speedrunner Assembly Summer 2022, ESA Summer 2023. I did a showcase at. I didn't play at, but I did a showcase at. ESA Summer 2000. Did I do a run at 2024? Yeah, I did. Yeah, ESA Summer 2024. Um, UKSG Green 2024. Was it green or was it blue? It was one of those. I think it was UKSG Green, if I'm not mistaken. Um, and my the best one out of 2024 was actually Fast 50. I was invited to the first Fast 50 last year by Ludwig, and that was an amazing time. Oh my god, that run! I want to circle back to that run because that run was something special to me. So was the ESA run for other reasons. I'll circle back to that one as well.
Mhm.
And then this year, I wanted to do a lot more this year, but just the opportunities fell through my fingers.
Mhm.
I was back at ESA this year. I did Spyro 190% again. That was a race. That was a three-way race between me, Dayman, and Composer. Nearly won. I choked. Great. Happy about that. Um, but
Got to keep the viewers on their toes. You never know what's going to
exactly,
happen. It's for the content.
exactly. Yeah. But circling back to 2024, that was definitely the. Even though it was the worst year for runs themselves, it was definitely the best year for me doing marathon runs of Spyro. And I'll start with ESO first because that one was like a big personal weight off my chest. Basically, I went into all of my marathons across 2024 and prior as well, trying to be the first human being to successfully execute a sub 40-minute run at a live marathon. It had not been done, okay?
Mhm.
Like these prior runs of Spiral 90% by other runners have been like 42, 40, like 41, etc. 39 had never been broken at a live event. My first Spiral 1 run at ESA 22 was like a 42, which was great.
Mhm.
But yeah, it took me until 2024 to get this run. And I did not just get a sub 40, I did not just get a 38, I got a 37.52, which was ludicrously good. It was a top 5 run. It had first try rat. It was incredibly well executed for someone who, admittedly, at the time I was very rusty. I was very nervous, but I sat down. I had the Rixa and Oddkara by my side. I let them take the reins of commentary. I just locked in, and I got the run that I wanted. And it is a quite a revered run in the community, I will admit. There was recently a little award show that the PlayStation community put on last ESA, and there was like a best ESA run award, and somehow I was nominated and somehow it won, which absolutely warmed my heart. It was, I was very honored to hear that.
So that
But
was the best
yeah,
marathon run by over 2 minutes.
yes.
Wow,
Yep.
that's crazy.
Until the year after the three-way race, Composer got close. Composer
Oh.
got really close. I think they got a 37.55,
Mm.
but that title's still mine. But I gotta have something. I'm third now.
Yeah,
But
I understand.
Fast 50 was awesome. Oh my god. Fast 50 was amazing. That marathon was so much fun. That's where I met Simple Flips in person. There was people, it was like Germa, like Coney, Point Crow running around, like all sorts of really cool people, all sorts of talented speedrunners and everything. And I had a lot to live up to. I had people like Linkus, like doing Wind Waker. You've got all these Mario runners. You got like Cheese walking around. Like, the competition was tough that marathon, and I needed something. I needed a little edge. And so my proudest moment, if it wasn't getting the 37 at ESA, it was absolutely this. I glossed over earlier when explaining the tricks in Nasty's world how there is an alternate version of rat proxy that doesn't involve the rat at all. It skips all of the same stuff, but it doesn't involve the rat in any capacity. It's called Coveless. And this trick was, whilst rat proxy was perceived as being this like RNG fest, like absolute nonsense trick that no one should go for, all of the eyes were on Coveless because there was no RNG involved. It was just ludicrously precise. It's effectively this game's carpetless, right?
Mm.
And unfortunately, whilst Rat Proxy ended up replacing it by becoming significantly more consistent, I am still the only one out of the entire top, yeah, like top everyone, apart from one person, in Spyro 190% to have even hit Coveless in the first place. And so I needed an edge at Fast 50. I didn't quite get the sub 40 I was looking for. It just barely fell through. And so I was like, okay, the weights are off now. I'm
Hmm.
just going to go for Coveless and see what happens. And would you believe it? I hit it first try. First try Coveless. This ludicrously difficult, flashy trick that I just managed to absolutely, like, a little taste of heaven in that moment. Like, I'm a big Germa fan. I had Germa sat behind me watching me do this. Like, what more do you want? And I don't know, that moment is probably, if I had to pick one clip to represent me for the rest of time, it would be me doing, like, Coveless at Fast 50 and my preceding pop off. That was, oh, what a moment. What a moment.
So what goes into that trick then?
It's really strange, I'll admit. So pretty much the geometry encasing the final boss portal is actually a big dragon head, right? And whilst the front of it doesn't have collision, the back does. So what you do is you jump, you glide around the back, and then you have to jump and start charging up this very steep slope surrounded by water. So if you mess up in any capacity, you go in the water, you drown. And you need to let go of square right at the top of this polygon, frame perfectly, so that you get an upwards boost. And then that's the easy part. You then need to glide and continue your glide, like working around this head, making all of these intricate, precise, like nigh on frame perfect, unit perfect turns. You need to understand every bump in the geometry. You need to understand like lineups, pause buffers, texture seams. You need to know where the geometry starts and ends. You need to know like what next move to make. It's all done with pause buffers in this day and age because it's basically a complete crapshoot if you do it without. But so much knowledge needs to go into this trick just to maneuver your way around and just barely get enough height to clip into that dragon head. Just barely. With a first try Codeless, it is about 10 seconds slower than a first try long back rat, which means it pretty much has no place in runs nowadays. But it's always there if I want to be flashy. And I hit it third try today in runs, so like, hey, I've still got it.
But yeah, I can see why that would be impressive
Mm-hmm.
live. Then
Oh yeah, I love that trick. I love Codeless so much. I often lament that it isn't still a viable option because it would just be so cool. It's so cool. It's such a cool looking trick.
sounds
Oh
hard
well,
though. We don't
it
want
is hard.
hard.
Meh,
Mm.
meh.
The run sounds
Maybe I'd
hard
still have
enough
record.
already.
Maybe I'd still have record if all the other runners had to do Codeless.
Mm, I see. I
That's me
see.
being greedy though.
um, well, is that all live event history?
Pretty much, yeah. Apart from yeah, I mean, I glossed over the other runs. I was the I completely forgot this about my first run. ESO Summer 2022 was the first person to hit Rat Proxy at a live marathon.
Oh, well, there you
That
go.
was that was before Long Back Rat as well, so that was the 2.5%
Oh,
chance rat. I'm pretty sure it was like 8th try or whatever, but I did hit it, and that
wow.
was really cool. That was a very defining moment. But yeah, other than that, I mean, the rest of the runs all pretty much went standard.
Hmm,
Can't really say much about them.
I see. So just always got to have a Spyro run somewhere every year.
Yeah,
Have you thought about
and it's
GDQ at all? I know it's far
I
away, but
have. The only thing stopping me is money.
yeah,
Unfortunately,
that's
the only
totally
thing
fair.
stopping me from going to a GDQ is the finances involved. I would love to. I
Mm,
really would, but just not in the cards.
yeah. So I assume for you it's a lot easier to get to like ESA and then obviously
Yeah.
any UK featured
Mhm.
events, which I'm not too familiar with
Would
personally, but
Would you believe it? It's actually cheaper for me to go all the way to Denmark and then into Sweden for ESA than it is to go to UKSG.
that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's messed up. It's
Mm,
more expensive. This is actually kind of a fault of the hotel that they pick for UKSG. It's a lot more expensive than the ESA hotel,
mm,
but on a per day basis, UKSG is like £50 more expensive than ESA is.
wow,
So I go to UKSG sparingly.
I see. Yeah, I'm not too familiar with the UK one.
It's fun. It's a great marathon run by some great people.
Yeah. Is it a week as well or?
It historically has just been weekend, but
Okay.
recently I think the last UKSG, either the last one or the second to last one they did was 4 days long, which was
Hmm.
really cool to see.
And it's primarily UK runners then,
Yeah,
but
predominantly, yeah.
some from other countries nearby, maybe.
Yeah. Anyone can submit. It's just a matter of are you willing to travel all the way out there to
Hmm.
do the run?
People travel for ESA, right? Hell, a
Oh
lot of
yeah, yeah they
Americans
do.
travel to ESA. I'd
Mm.
never do that. I can't afford that.
Yeah, I always cherish the Americans that come all of the way out to ESA.
Yeah, that's
I'll always thank them for that because I definitely can't do it the other way around.
yeah. No, there's no shot. Well, at least I have GDQ.
Oh yeah, the big one.
That is the big one, and it is cool. So if you can ever find out a way, r- always recommend it at least once. But
Yeah, I'd love to.
um, that's really everything I usually ask during these
Yeah.
interviews. I mean, is there anything we haven't touched on in your history that you'd like to?
Mm, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe I could touch on the fact that, speedrunning Spyro pretty much gave me a career. It
Hmm,
was
yeah.
the one thing that enabled me to get away from my absolutely awful retail job. It enabled me to move out and become independent. It's like led me to meet so many amazing people that I call very, very dear and cherished friends. It's yeah, it's nothing but a wonderful thing. I adore speedrunning. I adore what it's given me. I love being able to stream for a living, even if sometimes I get a little mad at the video game and it's funny everyone point and laugh at the mad streamer, but that just
if
comes with
you're
the territory,
if you're a
doesn't it?
speedrunner not getting mad, you're not passionate enough.
Exactly, precisely. That's what I'm saying.
You have to call that game terrible and point out everything horrible about it, or you're not truly in it.
Exactly. Oh goodness. But yeah, that's I would say that's pretty much about it. That pretty much covers me.
Well, there we go. Um, well, I always ask future plans, or if you've done like any forms of content, not just speedrunning
Mhm.
PBs or whatever, but
Well, I do have some YouTube videos, but yeah, I don't know.
eh.
I don't think I'm gonna pursue the YouTube game anymore. I stopped making videos in 2023. They were fun to make, but the cost reward ratio was like not
Yeah.
good enough. I hate to say. YouTube is something that you have to commit to long term to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like my videos could have done it, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
I literally was
It's a
just
lot of
diagnosed with
work.
ADHD a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago, and yeah, I don't have the attention span to keep pumping out videos like that.
Perfectly fair. Yeah. I've looked into it myself, but yeah, it's so much work, and for the first while you do it, you're not going to get anything out of it. And it's like,
Hmm.
well, I could spend my time, I don't know, at a job.
Exactly. Like for me, it was like I could just spend this time streaming.
Exactly. So, but there is a YouTube, and I will link it regardless. But yeah, just any other forms of stream content that you do or will do in the future?
I guess the only thing is I do two annual subathons actually. I do like my major subathon in May, and then I do like a half price, like half length subathon in December, which I have coming up. Lumithon 3.5. It's gonna be a good time. We're gonna play all sorts of garbage.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, honestly, I suppose that's about it. I guess in terms of like future plans that aren't something specific, I'm gonna get the 36 in any percent, and it's gonna be great. I'm probably gonna cry. Like, there's probably gonna be confetti, and someone's probably gonna come in with like a cookie cake or something, and everyone can have a slice. If if that's something that you're interested in. Sorry, I'm going crazy. I'm up kind of late.
I see. Yeah, I know. Time zones are fun.
Yeah. Well, I used to have much more of a degenerate sleep schedule, actually. I
Mm.
used to fall asleep at like 4 a.m. But
Prime time.
my my girlfriend has slowly been fixing me unfortunately. So,
Unfortunately.
but
Yeah. Getting a job
yeah, that's
forced me to
yeah,
fix mine. Truly, truly a tragedy.
yeah. But that's pretty much me, I would say.
There you go. Well, where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/LumiLaura is the number one place to find me. I stream 4 p.m. GMT to hopefully 8 p.m. GMT every day. Usually somewhere between 3 to 4 hours, usually like 3.5, hopefully 4. I do my best. I do nothing but my best. That's all I ever bring. And yeah, that's
That's
the
all
number
you
one
need.
place to find me.
Yep. And I'll link I have Twitch, YouTube, Blue Sky. I know you have a website as well.
Hmm.
I'll have that all available to be found.
The website's just for merch, so I just kind of
And
I
I
just kind of
mean,
leave that off to the side.
it's there. It exists.
My merch is kind of fire. I will admit.
Mm.
I will use the platform to shill a little bit. My merch is kind of crazy.
Well, you heard it here
You know, it's
first.
very it's only speedrun adjacent. You know, it's not very like I like to do very non-specific designs. Like I don't use any characters. I don't use any in jokes or anything. I design the kind of stuff that I would like to wear around people who don't know anything about speedrunning, and they wouldn't like question it.
Fun. And then I am curious, I forgot to ask. Are there any other games you haven't run that you've thought of?
Yeah. There was something on my mind recently that has totally now escaped me. Wow, it's gone. The answer to that is yes. I couldn't tell you what though.
All right.
That's crazy. It just completely escapes me. I'm sure there was something. I'm sure something will pop up. You know, that's the
Mhm.
nature of speedrunning. You see a cool game, you're like, I want to play that, and then you do it 6 months later.
Or 5 years later,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever it ends up being.
exactly.
I have a nice list of games that I have no idea when I will ever get there, but they are written down somewhere.
In due time.
And yeah, there's plenty of time, right? Like, yeah. I mean, you said you're playing Spyro for the next 10 years, so you're dedicated to something at least.
Yeah, if I can help it, I will do it.
Well, I guess that's everything then. So we can
Yeah,
call it a
well,
podcast.
thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, thank
And
you for
again, I
knowledge
apologize
dropping
for being
me.
so late.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I am truly not busy this day. That is why I do the podcast on this day. So it all works out. But yeah,
Amazing.
that'll be it. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Uh, feel free to follow me, follow the guest, follow the show. We've done a lot of episodes now. Again, this was number 135. That means there's 135 videos that exist of
Mhm.
this with different people. That number fascinates me, but yeah, we're keeping it
Yeah.
consistent out here. So yeah, that's all I really got. Just thanks as always for watching. Take care. See you later. Bye.